Hey everybody, welcome once again. It's me. Thank you. Happy to be here. And I am going to show a quick video on how I create my install or installable USB ISO files. And this is how I install new operating systems to this laptop, my distro hopper, which is an HP EliteBook 8440p. It's older tech. I think it might be from like 2012, maybe earlier than that, but somewhere around there, I believe. And it's got a Core i5 processor. I think it's just got two cores, so really early gen Core i5, but it's enough that I can make these videos. So I just shoot these days. I'm just shooting with the built-in webcam that's on the display of the monitor. So I'm dealing with older tech at this point, but it works. I can make these videos using this technology. And anyway, I just thought I would go through and kind of let you guys know how I get the distributions that you see me test out and what I do to get them to the point that I can just install them on this computer. So right now I still got the Solus OS on here, which is a version of Linux. I've got the XFCE desktop, although it's got features that are normally associated with KDE. Mostly what I'm noticing is just the KDE Discover, which is the storefront for the default storefront for KDE. And anyway, so let's go through how I get these. So anyway, this is where I go to DistroWatch, and oftentimes what I'll do, if I can find something cool. Oh look, Ghost BSD. I haven't done one on on any versions of BSD yet. I haven't learned much about BSD. I did try out Nomad BSD because I was interested in getting any OS that I could create a persistent USB. A persistent USB, for those of you that don't know what that is basically installing your operating system to a USB drive and then creating persistence. Basically, what that means is like not only would I be able to stick this in my computer and run the operating system off of this, but if it has persistence, then when I create a document or create a video or anything like that, it would save it to this. And then when I stick this into another computer and boot from this into my operating system, Nomad BSD, the file would be there. So it'd be almost like this is my computer. I just need a system to plug it into, and everything runs exactly the same as when I last plugged it into a different system previously. So that was the whole idea behind testing out Nomad BSD, but I wasn't successful in getting persistence to work. It was a little bit more complicated than I was prepared for, and it was taking more time, and so I just didn't have any success. And I made a video about me failing to be able to do that. But anyway, this video is about how I get these operating systems. So usually what I'll do is I'll just click on this random distribution button and it'll pop up something random. In this case, it's popping up uh, Raspberry Pi OS, which is created specifically to run on Raspberry Pis. Raspberry Pis are single board computers. I do own one. I've already got, well, this is Raspberry Pi OS. I think mine has Raspbian, so maybe mine's a little older and outdated. I have not used my Raspberry Pi, so I think it's a Raspberry Pi 3. So it's definitely an older version of Raspberry Pi. It's back when I think you could buy a Raspberry Pi for like $35. Um, it was very affordable back in the day. And yeah, so it's running Raspbian. I haven't updated it since then, since I last used it, which it's got to be over a year at this point, definitely over a year. Um, but anyway, so it pulls up a random distribution when you load the page. Well, actually, it pulls up news, then you click the random distribution button, it'll pull up a random distribution. Here, I clicked it again, and it's got an option for Super Grub Disk. Grub is a bootloader, from my understanding. A lot of your distributions will come with Grub available if you want to run like a live distribution or run a bootable USB that will allow you to install Linux off of it. So I'm not that interested in that. Groom platform. Okay, so here's one. This is a Linux distribution. It says it's based, or it was, its origin is South Korea. Based on Debian, uses the GNOME desktop. Anyway, so what I would normally do is I would just look it over, see if this is something I'm interested in trying in, and then typically I would go to the homepage and just find a link for where I could download it. So this webpage is in Korean, so luckily enough, Firefox has a built-in feature where it understands that this is not in English and it wants to know if I would like to translate the page from Korean to English. I hope I'm going to pronounce this right. Guru. Typically, what I would do if I'm interested in testing this out is I would click on whatever download link they offer. Okay, so here we go. So here's a download option up here. Usually, what I would want is an ISO. Sometimes it'll have you go to another website that like hosts the download file. I hope I'm using that word correctly, host, but has the download file available for you. You would click on that. Some web pages that are maintained by the people that create the operating system will just have the file there for you to download. I would download the ISO file. I would make sure that it was, whatever the name of the distribution is, .iso is what I'm looking for. And then once I had that file available, typically what I would do, I use a tool that I found really easy for me to use. I know oftentimes when you're coming from a Windows world, they might talk about things like Balena Etcher, which I have used on my Windows computer. And what's the other one? There's a really common one that they use. And, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. There's Balena Etcher, Rufus. Rufus is the other one. I have not used that one yet. But when it comes to the Linux world, what I will typically use is, I think I already have it downloaded on this computer. Here we go. GNOME disks. So this is an interesting thing with Linux is like you can have a desktop environment. Like in my case, I'm running XFCE. That's what this little mouse character is a symbol of. This particular version, Solus, is I think it's a Debian-based version of Linux running the XFCE desktop with access to the KDE Discover store, which I did that in a previous video, and I thought that was kind of cool. But then I've got GNOME disks installed. Now, GNOME disks, I've never had a problem installing that, regardless of the desktop environment that I've got installed on my particular version of Linux. And I think that's true for a lot of applications. It doesn't really matter if it's got the name of some other desktop environment included with the name of the program. Typically, it'll still work even if you're not running that desktop environment. So GNOME disks is what I use to create my bootable USBs. So as long as I've got the ISO file downloaded, which is this is a thumb drive that I purchased as part of a pack at a thrift store recently. It's a 32 gigabyte thumb drive. It was like a pack of 3, and I think they were selling it for like $6 or $7. So I thought, well, that's kind of, I could use something like this, and I like having USBs that I can easily just kind of identify by how it looks on what my use is for. So this is my I guess USB that I've got dedicated to downloading ISOs. So that's what's on here. I think I downloaded 3 different ISOs, including Solus. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug this into one of the free USB ports that I've got. Luckily, this computer has 4. So there we go, and it's going to pop up. There we go. It says I got a 31 gigabyte drive. The drive is labeled 32 gigabytes, but I'm sure some of that's got stuff on it that kind of configures itself when you plug in the drive into your computer. So um, this is just files. This It's got the ISO files on it. It's not there as a bootable USB. I think it's got three different versions of Linux. Solus is one of them. So this one is I labeled it distro. This is my dedicated thumb drive that I bought from Walmart. It's one of their on-brand uh, thumb drives. And the reason why I bought it was because I think it was under $5. It's a 16 gigabyte thumb drive. I even put 16 on there because they put everything on here is in really small type. It's a black background with gray type, and it's just difficult to read if the lighting isn't really nice. So anyway, I just marked it with a permanent marker on the back, distro, and 16 on the front, so I know how many gigabytes it's got. But I think I know for sure this was under $5. I think it might have been under $4. Um, but this is my dedicated thumb drive that I use for creating bootable USBs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug this into another free USB port. And there we go. Now I've got my 16 gigabyte drive. So I've got my 32 gigabyte drive that's got my ISOs on it, and my 16 gigabyte thumb drive, which is what I'm going to install my ISO to. So right now it's got Solus Solus Live XFCE, I think is what it says. The type is small, and I'm kind of sitting back away from my screen. So that's what I've got here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this option, these three dots here, and I'm going to go down to Restore Disk Image. Okay, and then it's going to ask me to pick a image to restore from. That's the file that I downloaded. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick the thumb drive that I've got all my downloaded ISOs. So I downloaded these when I was at my public library. Here we have a really nice library, and they've got a super fast internet connection. So I was able to download all three of these in like under 10 minutes, and get them onto the thumb drive. So these are the three versions of Linux that I've got on here ready to be written to my other USB drive. So I'm going to go ahead. I guess I'll just go with this Artix, ARTIX, with the XFCE desktop. So I'll go ahead and select that, then click on Open. And let's see. So it's warning me that the disk image is 13 gigabytes smaller than the target device, which is fine with me. So I'm going to go ahead. It says the image size is only 2.1 gigabytes, and it's ready to write to my 16 gigabyte drive. So at this point, I just click on Start Restoring. And then, are you sure you want to write this image to the device? All existing data will be lost. It's just giving you another warning. I'm going to go ahead and click Restore, and it should start the process. So yeah, so as you can see, it's going along here. It's going to write the ISO image to the thumb drive in a bootable instance. I don't know what word to use there. A bootable file. And as long as my computer, which this is my dedicated distro hopping laptop. What I'm recording this video on right now is what I use to hop from distribution to distribution, so I can just kind of see what they're like. I'm not like going through any kind of hardcore testing or fully testing, or I'm running these for just a matter of a few hours. I get a couple of applications installed. I check out their download manager, package manager, whatever the term is. I see if I can get, usually I try to get a few things installed. So I see if I can get OBS installed, Caden Live for video editing, and then occasionally I'll try Steam, but usually because of this computer's limitations, I don't mess too much with gaming. What I will try to do is I'll try to install, let's see, OBS Caden Live, or oh yeah, OBS, Kdenlive, and GIMP, so I can create a thumbnail. And that's pretty much it as far as what I do with the distribution. But this video, I think, is pretty much concluded at this point. I was just trying to make a quick video on how I obtain the ISO files and the software that I use to create the USB thumb drive so I could just pop it in there, turn the computer on, get the new operating system installed, and then move on from there, create my video. So that's pretty much it. Um, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If there's a Linux ISO a version of Linux that you think I should be trying, then just go ahead and leave a comment or a recommendation, and maybe I'll check that out. Otherwise, hope you guys are having a nice weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.